Give us an idea of what's the next big thing that you're looking for.
So at Draper Associates, the way we look at the next big thing is we look for industries where you're getting really bad service at a really high cost. So those might be banking or investment banking or even venture capital, or it might be insurance or healthcare. But what's really interesting is the industry where you get the worst service at the highest cost is government. And I think that governments now around the world have to compete for us. And you're seeing it with Japan saying, OK, we'll take Bitcoin, and Singapore and Switzerland saying, hey, we'll do ICOs. And you're seeing Estonia saying, hey, we'll be an e-government. And so you're starting to see governments starting to compete with one another for the great entrepreneurs of the world and the capital and all that. I like the idea of new technologies, maybe from the blockchain, maybe from just making government more efficient. I'm looking for anything GovTech right now. And of course, insurance, banking, real estate. Any of those industries that really hasn't caught up to the new way of operating, I think those are all fair game. Really exciting times, and we're looking for entrepreneurs from all over the world that really go after any of these industries where you're getting bad service at a high cost. So if you're an entrepreneur out there, keep your eyes open for industries where you're getting bad service at a high cost.
There's a free tip there from you, Tim. If in terms of what you're looking for in Southeast Asia, I mean, it's an interesting landscape for startups, isn't it? Because in most of these sectors, you don't have a dominant leader. It feels like there's going to be need for consolidation. What are you looking for? The factors that make you think this is going to be a clear emerging winner?
Yeah, I think they've hit an inflection point here in Southeast Asia. There's going to be a big middle class. It's going to start rising, and it's going to create all sorts of interesting opportunities. And as the education rises here in Indonesia, I think they're going to see some great things happen. And they've got great models for success in Singapore and Malaysia. And they see that, boy, those countries have figured it out. They opened up their markets, they allowed people to thrive, they allowed great things to happen, and look how incredibly successful those countries have become. So I think the same thing's going to happen here in Indonesia, and boy, there's so much hustle and bustle here. There's such energy and excitement. All those collisions between people are going to make a lot of people start thinking more creatively about how they can improve their own lives and their own businesses. And that's what entrepreneurship's all about.
I guess when you find some industry or some company there as well, and you need to actually, see it grow in the area, you've got to make it scalable, haven't you? And that's the biggest challenge, isn't it? If you have a good idea, if it's scalable, then it's an even better idea. If it's not, well, you probably forget it.
Well, that's where it's really a perfect time now, because geographic borders are now falling, because we can communicate with each other through Skype or email or whatever. We can move across borders very easily too, and so that's why I'm saying governments now need to compete for us. They need to sort of say, hey, come to our country if you're an entrepreneur. Come to our country if you want to invest. Come to our country if you want to raise a family. All of that is starting to happen, and what that means is that those countries where the governments open up the most are going to be very successful. And it doesn't really matter where an entrepreneur is. They still get the same information. They get all the information off of Google. They get all the information that they can get from people they speak to all over the world. This is one of those times where the world has completely flattened out, and anyone can be a great entrepreneur. They just have to think abstractly. They have to think, what's going to happen in the next 15 years? What matters? What are people going to need? And that's what a good entrepreneur does, and I think that's what's going to happen here. We got 250 million people around Southeast Asia, and there's a lot of creativity here, and I'm counting on great things. And hopefully they'll all read my book that's coming out soon.
Yeah, Tim, trying to get a plug in for your book there, right? Tim, okay, I'm going to pitch an idea to you, right? And we're going to go back to basics, if you will. This is not, in essence, a new economy idea. This is an old economy idea. Now, you're saying bad service. I'm saying very expensive service for not very much. In other words, you're being ripped off. What about the world of optics, eyewear, Luxottica, for instance, having this stranglehold on this industry with, I mean, let's face it, they've got LensCrafters, Sunglasses Hut, Pearl Vision, Sears Opticals, Target Optical. Then they've got Ray-Ban. On top of that, they make eyewear for Prada, Chanel, Giorgio Armani, Burberry, Versace, Dolce & Gabbana, Miu Miu, DKNY. They've got a stranglehold. Why isn't anybody breaking into this?
Robert, you are a journalist and you're thinking like an entrepreneur. I'm proud of you. This is awesome.
Don't patronize me, Tim.
This is exactly the way an entrepreneur thinks. They say, look at all these people, and there's not enough competition in the field, and there's a new way to do it, and you know they build up a monopolistic system where they put up barriers, which creates more corruption. And so the customer's not being served, and so what do? You create something new. I've actually seen a startup in New York that actually does that. They are breaking the logjam there, and they're making it very easy and cheap to get eyewear. So you're onto something. Go get them.
I was going to say, why did you go get that's you're finding investors there as well. Okay, so where next for you after Jakarta? And indeed, what are you looking at in that next space that you're going to?
Okay, well, my next stop after Jakarta is getting back to the Silicon Valley because Draper University opens for their next session. And, you know, Draper University, we've got all these heroes that we're training, and they come from all over the world. And actually, I think we've got a few Indonesians coming to our next session. And we're training some heroes that then will go out and potentially start great businesses or create revolutions or great art or whatever. So that's where I'm headed. And I fly through Japan, and I probably don't have enough time to tell them how much I appreciate the fact that they are now accepting Bitcoin. But I can tell that Japan is saying, hey, it's okay, we used to make a lot of money off the yen, but I think we're going to make a lot more money off all the entrepreneurs that are going to come to our country because we've said, hey, yes to Bitcoin.
Tim, just before we let you go, some of the companies that you've invested in, their CEOs, their founders have, clashed with the US president, the new president. What's your view on his policies, and is it sort of an environment and administration that makes it conducive for innovation, for technological progress in the US?
Well, there's some things I like and some that I don't. The things I like are that the U.S. government has gotten so big and so bulky, and it's starting to feel like we're not getting very good service for the money we're paying. And so there's an opportunity for sort of an entrepreneur to come in there and change things. And that's probably why the U.S. citizens were going to either go for Bernie or they were going to go for Trump. They didn't want more of the same because we were sort of stuck in kind of heading off a cliff, losing our competitive edge. Our education was failing. A lot of bad things happening. Well, stirring that up, I like. I don't like anything that reeks of protectionism, and I think that because everybody's better off when you open your borders and allow business to go there and back, and so I think that would be something that I'd advise if I could.